Okay. Hello, it's good to have you on the red carpet with Red Carpet MD. My name is Usman Hayatu. What is your name?
Abubakar Nurkalo.
And please, Abubakar, what do you do?
I essentially do a lot of work around Bitcoin. So I run a Bitcoin VC called Recursive Capital. I'm also the interim CEO of BTrust, a board member, where we essentially train developers, give out grants to do with Bitcoin, and then I also write for Forbes and also contribute to the Bitcoin protocol essentially.
Beautiful Bitcoin. So it means we can speak with you on Bitcoin and we can speak with you on the general crypto environment.
Yeah.
So diving into the questions directly, first of all, over the years, especially the past few years, there has been a lot of favor, there's been a lot of controversy, there's been a lot of tension around the Bitcoin and the crypto, the ecosystem. There's been a lot of regulatory reactions from governments around the world. So I just want to ask you, for Nigeria particularly, do you think the regulatory reactions from government were justified, or were they just out of panic of the unknown?
I think it's mostly the latter. So it's definitely been very reactionary, but right now I think there's a lot more clarity on the end to the extent that you could claim so. And I think the main challenge that they have right now is balancing two things. One is trying to create an enabling environment for the technology to prosper, but at the same time they also want to protect the Naira. At least that's a concern for the CBN. When it comes to other regulators, it's more about protecting average individuals from scams, which is rife, especially outside of the Bitcoin space. So I think trying to balance these two is kind of what we're seeing kind of play out on the regulatory landscape. So what will be good, honestly, moving forward for them is to kind of segment the market into Bitcoin and then everything else, and then apply relevant regulation essentially through kind of getting a proper framework based off of either test cases on the ground, other work from other regulators around the world, as opposed to just copying and pasting. So there's definitely a lot to do, but I think we're generally in a better place than we were like 2 years ago.
So there is a lot of progress apparently. Now we are in northern Nigeria. This is Arewa Tech Festival, and we know the climate around. I just want to ask you on this, particularly for the north. I know the work on the Bitcoin Trust. I know it was established to improve penetration of Bitcoin knowledge and use, if I get it correctly, in Africa. I think that is what it was established. Is that it?
So essentially established to decentralize the development of Bitcoin. Okay. So a lot of that is around educating developers from parts where Bitcoin development isn't as common. So generally the global south, specifically Africa initially, as well as other regions like Southeast Asia, some of the MENA region and some other parts, but that's generally the mission overall.
Okay, so for your work at Bitcoin Trust, today the climate has really drastically changed. It may be because of social reasons, poverty, hunger, and what have you, several possible motivations. But today my uncle or my aunt who is elderly, another person's aunt, another person's uncle in the village, most likely knows about cryptocurrency and knows, even though they don't know the concept, they know that there is an enabler that if they tap their phone, whether it is the cat, whether it's the dogs, whether it is the elephant, anything, they just know that they tap on their phone and they get something which by chance can be monetized. So there is promotion, there is improvement of the penetration of cryptocurrency generally, and maybe Bitcoin in that regard. So what do you think that means for the work you do at Bitcoin Trust?
I mean, for us, the main priority is a couple key metrics. So one is ensuring that there's a very vibrant ecosystem of developers working day and night to not only contribute to the protocol itself, that's Bitcoin Core, all the way up to some of the other layers on top of that, whether it's the Lightning Network or some of the other adjacent protocols, and more specifically building this critical mass of developers that are kind of at the forefront of directing the Bitcoin resilience, or just making sure that it's still around in the next couple of decades. Really, that's kind of the main goal for us.
27th of August or 28th, I know I saw an interview of yours, not an interview, rather, a talk you delivered on stage. I can't remember exactly the name of the talk, but on that talk you made mention of some challenges and you highlighted education. So for a people like Northern Nigeria, for people who are in this kind of environment, mostly people in the rural area, like the uncles I have made reference to, they don't know what it is, but they just know that this can be monetized by chance. So what do you think, how much impact would increased education have on this?
I think a variety of things. First and foremost, language translation. Second of all, those that already understand in English can go on to educate others. But again, it just has to do with those that know should educate those that don't, and those that don't know yet should get these resources in a way that's digestible to them. That's pretty much it.
Very, very beautiful. So this Aria Tech Festival, we are very happy to have you, and thank you for being on the red carpet.
Thanks for having me.
Yeah. So,